going?
Hello, Milford First Brethren and Christian Workers Sunday School class. So this is something new that we're jumping into to give you a Sunday school lesson, since we have not met for quite some time, locally here. And so Lee's been gracious enough to post some notes out on Facebook, and you can refer to those. The lesson today will be pretty short because we're going to give you a few assignments to look at. So it's up to you on how deep you want to go into these. So let me go through the notes with you and give you a few hints about what we're trying to accomplish. If you look, there is some reading for you to do. The subject matter this week is the empty tomb. So we'll be focusing on, it's kind of an Easter story in a sense, but you can teach that any time of the year. That's our foundational message when it comes to the resurrection of Jesus. So the empty tomb is something that we rejoice about. Without that, we're all lost in our sin. So as you look at the readings we have, the first one I'm looking at here is Matthew 27, and that's a background passage that kind of reflects leading up to the resurrection. When you come into Matthew 28, you get into the discourse of what actually happened. You'll see some different characters where you will have the Roman soldiers, and you will have the angels, and also the women as they approach the tomb. So you definitely want to spend some time reading through Matthew 28, verses 1 through 10. And then there's some subsequent thinking that comes after the fact, is in Luke 24, and now we have the disciples coming into the picture. And so I'd like for you to read those, get a pretty good understanding of those three passages, and then we have a couple of assignments for you to look at. If you look at the notes again, we're going to start out with number 1, and it's real simple. We just want you to look at these three groups of people that we identify, and to list what you have in the scriptures on each of the line items, to list exactly what you see as far as the reaction, that's going on. And we're really focusing now on Matthew 28 and Luke 24. So again, we have the Roman guards. What was their reaction? You can list a few things down, capture that on paper there, or again, you can write it in the comments if you like. You can hand it to me. I'd like to see what you have, and then next week we'll come back and review it, and then move on to the next lesson. Secondly, you have the women. Now that's going to have some information in both Matthew and Luke as you look at the women and their reaction. And then finally the disciples, which is a very interesting section. The disciples in this context, you'll find their reaction is totally different than what you have later on in the book of Acts and so forth. So these three groups are what we're going to take a look at. And then finally, the last question I'd like you to really wrestle with is number 2. I'm just going to read it for you slowly here. It says, which group or groups above do you identify with when encountering God's Word, and specifically now the resurrection of Jesus Christ? So as you look at your own faith and your own walk with the Lord, and you encounter the supernatural in a sense, and God's Word does have a lot when it comes through the Old Testament right from the beginning, through the miracles of Jesus, and even the change in our own hearts. We're talking about supernatural things. Where do you identify? Can you see yourself in any of the groups? And jot that down, think about that, wrestle with that one a little bit, because that's going to be a foundational starting point for us as we move forward and explore more about the resurrection of Jesus Christ. So that's all I have for this week. Hope you're having a wonderful week and things are going well for you. I miss having you here in person, but good day. God bless.